Planet Dolan.
From writing in pencil to not saying goodbye, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from Reddit about the dumbest things we got in trouble for at school. I'm Cookie, and today I'll be your narrator. This story was submitted by VectorCam2324. One day, James Shark went to the bathroom in between classes. As he walked away from the urinal, he saw a group of boys. Then, without warning, one of the boys pantsed the other. It was at that time that a teacher walked in. He took one look at the boy who was pantsed and gave everyone detention, including James Shark. When he told the teacher that he wasn't involved, the teacher said that he not only should have intervened, but that he should have pulled up his fellow students' pants. Needless to say, James Shark's parents were pissed, but the school stood by the teacher's decision. This story was submitted by DarkAnthrax88. In high school, Nixium would sometimes bring a bottle of very spicy sauce with him to the cafeteria. During lunch, he encouraged his friends to add 1 drop of it to their fries. He did that to see if they were tough enough to handle it. It turned out that the student Nixium wasn't friends with wanted to try it. After trying it, she found it was so spicy that she threw up all over. He ended up getting suspended for a few days for bringing a deadly weapon to school. He never knew that sauce was considered a deadly weapon. This story was submitted by Demon Aardvark. Hellbent's high school French teacher was a dick. He made a rule where he would fail any student who wrote in pencil. The rule wasn't supported by the school, and he didn't even mention it at the start of the semester. When Hellbent used a pencil on his first test, his teacher failed him despite getting every answer right. His mom was livid and took it up with the school's dean, who supported the teacher and said, "Only pens are used on standardized tests." Hellbent's parents disagreed with the dean, saying, "No standardized tests in college uses pens as a mandatory utensil." After high school, Hellbent went to college, during which time he never once had to use a pen on a test. This story was submitted by Sabashi5. Ramona's teacher had the tendency of spelling her name wrong. One day, her teacher made a chart that had the names of all the students on it. As expected, Ramona's name was spelled wrong. Sick of always having her name misspelled, she went up and crossed out the wrong letters. She then wrote in the correct ones. It made the chart look like shit, angering her teacher so much that she sent Ramona home with a note. That resulted in her parents yelling at the teacher during a parent-teacher conference. This story was submitted by Depressing Months. After school one day, Wolfgang was sitting in a classroom, serving a detention. He was really pissed off about a lot of things, but kept it to himself. To add to his anger, the bitchy teacher who gave him detention started giving him a hard time. Although it was hard, Wolfgang ignored her. When his detention was over, his teacher said goodbye, but he didn't respond. He just wanted to get away from her. In response, Wolfgang's teacher called his parents, giving him a failing grade, and said that he had to serve 2 more days of detention, all because he didn't say goodbye to her. This story was submitted by Mirage Sabotage. During his time as a 4th grader, Derek never had any luck with substitute teachers. The first one he had was watching everyone during some classroom time known as read, write, or draw. While Derek drew, the sub walked up to his desk and snatched the piece of paper away from him. She looked at the drawing, scowled, and threw it away. To this day, Derek doesn't know what the sub's problem was. The second substitute teacher he had hated mechanical pencils, which are what Derek liked to use. She told him that he would have to use a regular pencil unless he wanted a trip to the principal's office. The reason she hated mechanical pencils was because they were too loud and distracting, even though the classroom's pencil sharpener was much louder than Derek clicking his pencil a few times. This story was submitted by Mr. Mori. Whenever he felt an epileptic seizure coming on, Gergak would grab his large coat and cover his upper body with it. He would then pass out while mildly convulsing. One day, during an epileptic seizure, a teacher thought he was only sleeping. She lifted him off the ground and tried to wake him up, to no avail. So, the teacher carried him to the office and demanded that the principal tell Gergak to stop faking it. In the end, the principal, who knew about Gergak's medical condition, was almost fired for beating the new teacher's ass. He had to explain to Gergak's parents about the bruising on his cheek from where the teacher dropped him. He also had to explain a bruise on his wrist from where the teacher picked him up to drag him out of class. Gergak's parents threatened a lawsuit if the teacher wasn't fired, which she promptly was. This story was submitted by Captain Ravioli 837. Back in grade school, Salty Squid was eating lunch in the cafeteria. His school had a thing where they would dim the lights and make sure everyone was quiet. Then, one table at a time, the students had to throw away their trash before being dismissed for recess. When it came for Salty Squid's table to throw away their trash, one of the teachers noticed that Salty Squid hadn't finished his milk. Right after throwing away his garbage, the teacher told him to take the milk carton out of the garbage and finish drinking it. If he didn't, he would have to go to the principal's office. Not wanting detention over something so dumb, Salty Squid begrudgingly dug the carton out of the garbage and finished drinking it. During that time, the students just sat there, watching the drama. This story was submitted by Dirty9 White 5 Boy. One day, Dolan was in line getting his lunch. After paying for it, he was walking to a table when a teacher stopped him for no apparent reason. She yelled, "Toss your tray and go to the office!" Confused, Dolan obeyed and went to the office. He tried to explain to the principal that he had no idea why he was in trouble, but the principal kept saying, "You did something wrong. Now what was it?" He warned Dolan that he would take away a day of recess for each day he didn't admit to his wrongdoing. In the end, he lost 2 weeks of recess. This story was submitted by Electric Blazer 420. Lost Fox's old school had what was called 100 Day. It was when everyone had to bring in 100 of something. That year, Lost Fox's mum sent him to school with 100 pasta noodles. During class, he counted the pasta noodles to make sure he had 100. While counting, the substitute teacher went up to his desk and sent him to the office where he was suspended. He still can't believe he got in trouble for counting dry pasta noodles. This is Cookie, signing off. Goodbye!